The FA Cup may be linked to Prince William because he is a fan of Aston Villa. He was pictured at the Champions League game against PSG. His birthday's on June the 21st, and the final of the FA Cup is going to be on May the 17th. Now, he is a part of the royal family, and that is precisely why Aston Villa is facing off against the Palace. Crystal Palace is who they face off in the semifinals. So this may be linked to the royal connection of Prince William. The amount of time from the FA Cup final to his birthday would be 35 days. 35 is Gematria of Aston Villa. Aston Villa will be in the FA Cup final 35 days before Prince William's birthday. Their last FA Cup victory was 68 years ago. Their last trophy was in 1996. Aston Villa 64's Gematria of Manchester City. Now Forest, Nottingham Forest. Could a Nottingham Forest upset Man City without Erling Haaland? Never say never. So let me reference Aston Villa's last trophy. Kind of the riddle with this is that they last won a trophy over Leeds United, and their next trophy could occur against Erling Haaland, who was actually born at Leeds. So if they play Haaland in the final, he's born at Leeds, UK, and their next trophy can occur for the first time since they beat Leeds United all the way back in 1996. In Gematria, it's Unai, that's Gematria of Leeds. Now, if Nottingham Forest manages to make it to the final, it's worth noting that Villa would beat Forest for their next trophy 29 years after 1996 would be 2025 if we do see the upset over Man City. Is there any cause for concern if Aston Villa lose the final? If they fall to 7-5 in the final, it is Marcus Rashford, that's Gematria 75. And Marco Asensio is Gematria of 75 in the reverse. However, if Man City lose the final, that 7-7 record in the final at the City of London's Gematria 77, and they are owned by the United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates is Gematria 77, so we could see Man City finish the year with 0 trophies. But I would not be surprised to see the Haaland, he comes back and wins the FA Cup. So it does exist there, but I am mostly looking at this from the perspective of the royal family. Aston Villa's last FA Cup victory occurred in 1954. Or I think 1953, that'd be 68 years ago. Okay, 1957. Their last title occurred in the year 57, and it's City, that's Gematria 57. They could try to go for their first FA Cup title since 1957 to review, because I already did a video on this. let's see, May the 17th. This is a 9-year. So basically, they would make it to the final of the FA Cup 60 years later, compete for a championship at London, England, and basically 68 is a very big number because I think West Ham won their first trophy in 68 years. I mean, you think about this from Tottenham, from the perspective of Tottenham. I mean, Newcastle ends a trophy drought. Aston Villa ends a trophy drought. I mean, wouldn't that make sense if they won the trophy too? Prince William of Wales. Wales is come out to that 7-5 record in the final, so hey, make it to the final but potentially lose. But his 43rd birthday coming up would be Gamache champion. So, if champion's 43, it would make sense for Aston Villa to win this FA Cup, I'm just saying. Great penalty stopper. He's unbeaten in penalty shootouts. Emiliano Martinez. Asensio, Marcus Rashford, Emiliano Martinez. Martinez is Gamache of his 43rd birthday. And Emiliano would be Gamache of his current age of 42. Could Birmingham win the FA Cup? I wonder what season this is of Aston Villa. Unai Emery's a cup specialist, I'm just saying. And notice how Unai in the reverse, 63-27's Gamache of Paris. Mohamed Salah, Egypt, win the Premier League. Egyptian owner win the FA Cup. Egypt is Gamache 28 full years without winning a trophy. Now back to the owner. Aston Villa is owned by V Sports. Well, V Sports is Gamache of the Prince's age, and Emery's Gamache 30. He's part of a team owned by V Sports. He's 64 years of age in Manchester City, 64, and Aston Villa 64. It'd be pretty fitting if he does win a trophy. Nassif is Gamache of Manchester City, Aston Villa in reverse. Nassif is Gamache 35. Remember, the finals 35 days before Prince William's birthday. Nassif 35. Aston Villa, Gamache 35. Which is interesting because if you look at the PSG game, they scored the first goal in the 35th minute. It was a really scripted goal in minute 35, and Aston Villa's 35. So yeah, that was as scripted of a goal as it gets. Nassib 64 years of age. Aston Villa 64, Manchester City 64, and The FA Cup is 35 days before the Prince's birthday. So pretty interesting what we see from the owner right there. When we're talking about the perspective of the owner. And his birth digits add up to 28. 28 years in between titles. When you add up the birth digits of the owner. Sawiris is gematria of 35. Aston Villa 35. His last name's 35. Nassib 35. So Prince William's in the owner's gematria is connected to the prince's birthday. So I wonder if the day that he bought Aston Villa is going to be connected to. And he's born at Aswan. Aswan's gematria 77. I think if we're looking at, if we ignore Aston Villa's potentially fall to 7-5 in the final, then when we look at, London, the ownership of Man City, and the owner of Aston Villa is born at a city with reverse gematria 77. So the script could be in to fall to 7 for Aston Villa to and for Man City to fall to 7-7 in the final. He also is owner of the Knicks and the Rangers, minority. They purchased a controlling stake worth 30 million British pounds in Aston Villa. And now if we do the exact date of Villa's last trophy in 1996, the exact date, okay, we would get just over 29 months. Let's do Andy Townsend, the man of the match of Villa's last trophy. This was July of 2018 that Egypt took over the team. Or an Egyptian billionaire did. Unai Emery, manager of Villarreal and then manager of Aston Villa. Who could have made that up? "82 months," and again, Prince William's born in year 82, and the owner got his economics degree in 1982 before launching off into business. So that will be important too. I want to also connect his birthday to the day of the final of the FA Cup. Born on the 19th day, January 19, Pep is gematria of 19. His Villa can face off against Pep Guardiola in the final. So what would the amount of time be from his birthday to the FA Cup final? 118, 119, anything come up with 118? consort consisting of Sawiris and Wes Aidens. Wesley Aidens is a part of this ownership group too. He's born at Montana. Okay. Well, interesting how Aidens is Gematria Villa. William Arthur Philip Lewis, his name would be Gematria London, England, in Championship. It all makes sense for Aston Villa to give English fans the grand year where Man City goes without a trophy before potential point deduction / relegation.